Hello, data explorers. My name is Igor Alcantara, and we'll talk about Monte Carlo simulation today. Today's video it's a follow-up of a previous video we recorded about distributions, specific distributions in Qlik. So we learn about what Monte Carlo simulation is, when do we use it, one specific use case, and how to do it in Qlik. But before we start, don't forget to visit our blog, Data Voyager. So there's a QR code here. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it to everyone you know in all social medias. All right? This is very important to have the world spread to as many people as possible. All right, so let's get started. Um, this is the app that we are using so far in our video demonstrations. It has basically sales data, and I will continue this app. You saw this app in videos before. I'll continue using this app to do Monte Carlo. However, before we begin doing the Monte Carlo simulations, I would like to explain what Monte Carlo is. So again, as I usually start, if you Google it, you will find articles like in Wikipedia. Sometimes they call Monte Carlo methods, simulation, experiment. I like to call simulations because that's basically what it is. It's a simulation. I also found a very interesting article in Investopedia. So if you Google it, this will be one of the top results display. So you can look at it. All right. But in a nutshell, Monte Carlo is basically a series of simulations. So you take random samples based on specific parameters, and you create respecting the parameters of the data or parameters of the data. If you want to, for example, to simulate a normal distribution with the data, and then you can, let's say you have 100 rows, but you need a larger sample in order to calculate risk, to make predictions, to identify outliers, then you can simply create a simulation and simulate 5,000, 10,000 rows, as many as you like. This is synthetic data. So does it work? Well, it works because statistics work, and you're using the statistical properties in order to do it. Okay? So now let's see how we can do it in Qlik. So before we're doing the UI, we need to do a little scripting. I had something already done it for you, otherwise this video will be too long. So let me start with that and show what I've done it in before. So this is our data. Basically, we bring in sales data. What I added is this statistics, and I did it for sales, price, cost, margin. But this video, I'm only showing the sales data, all right? But we could do other things. So basically, what I need are variables that will show me some of those statistics properties. So let's focus on sales. I calculated the main ones, not using them all, but I'm creating this script, using script. So then I'll have what is the min sales? What is the cheapest sale that I ever made? What is my max sale? The most expensive, the largest sale amount. What is the mean or average, and what deviation? How did I do it? I created a thumb table, and then I've calculated what is the mean, standard deviation, average, max, save them as field names, and then retrieve them to variables. I did that for price, cost, profit, because I'll need them for other things like game theory, chaos theory, etc., modules. For this is specifically use case for Monte Carlo. I don't need them all, so focus on sales. And after that, we drop that temp table because we only needed to create the variables. There you go. Now, let's create a new, and again, this is one technique. This is not the only technique. You might find people doing differently, but I like this, not only because I invented, but I like this because it's simple, it's quick, and anyone could invent it. So let me create a new section in my, and I will call this Monte Carlo. Now, let's define the size of simulation. So I think it's better if we do in a variable. So let's zoom in so we can all read it better. I'll create a variable. I'll call this VMC num iterations, and then let's say I want to do 5,000 rows. All right. What is the size of my data? Well, we have close to 5,000 orders. So I want to do like kind of similar. I don't want to do a larger sample. This is a good, but I want to do using different statistical properties. Now, it is a simulation based on random numbers. So we need to add randomization to it. I've seen people doing it, creating a random number in each row. However, that's a problem because each row will have a random number. So I like to, and that there's a few negative consequences to that. So I prefer, that's how I like to do it, to first create the random numbers separately, and then reading the random numbers and then applying the formulas to it. So let me call this Monte Carlo data, and it's going to be basically, I'm going to do a load of something, and I'll use the auto generate a number of rows, which will be the number of elements in my sample. Don't worry about this error message just because I didn't fill out the fields yet. If you're not familiar with auto generate, you can simply click this help button here. All the functions will become a link. Then you can click on the link, and then you can read the help page about it. So what it is, let's say I want an ID for each row. So I'll use row number. That's one of the ways to do it. I'll call this Monte Carlo ID, something like that. You can give any name you like. And then I'm using the rand function. Rand function creates a rand. And I'll call this T underscore random. That's my random number that I'll use later. Again, if you're not familiar with that, click the help here. They all become a link. You click on the link, and then you jump right to click help file, and then you can study the functions. Okay. Now, let's load this temp table. Let's do a resident load, and then let's do the magic. So let me call this Monte Carlo data, and will be basically a load of something from this temp table that we just created. That's the style. That's why I like to do it, and I do the resident, and then I fill out with the data. All right, so I'm loading from that. So I want to load Monte Carlo ID just for troubleshooting. I want to load the random number just for troubleshooting. If I need it, I can drop it at the end once I finish troubleshooting. And then my formula will be this. So let me type my formula, and then we'll discuss it. All right. So there will be this random number here times 2 minus 1, okay, times my variable for standard deviation, which I can copy from here, my variable for standard deviation. So dollar, we need dollar expansion. And then I want to do plus my variable for the average or mean, which is this. So then that. Pretty good. I need to close one more parenthesis that I open here, and I'll call this, I could call MC sales, Monte Carlo sales. All right, that's basically the formula. So again, the random number, it's something between 0 and 1. I multiply by 2, I'm making this number between 0 and 2. But then I'm doing a minus 1. So why am I doing this minus 1 here if I could simply not do anything at all? That's related to the nature of the random numbers generated. So if you take, after we run it, we can take a look at the random number and see what the result means. So you see that that actually makes a difference because of negative numbers. Then apply the properties, statistical properties. So I don't want this to be any random number because this will be just basically numbers between 0 and 1. But this is for sales. So what is my standard deviation? Multiply by that. So let's say my standard deviation is $50. So multiply each random number by 50. So one random number could be 0.1. So 0.1 times 50. Another one could be 0.9 times 50, and so on. And then you sum with the average. So there's a complex formula for Monte Carlo, but basically by doing that, you creating the simulation that will respect your statistical properties. What properties? Standard deviation and mean, which are, if you remember the normal distribution video, the two properties we need for a normal distribution. Pretty good. This is good. This is good. However, I would like to do something else. I would like to do something else on top of this. So we could apply, and the reason is that random factors. We might generate numbers that are too small, numbers that are too large. So in that case, I don't want the mean sales to be lower than my mean sales. I could do the same for max. Again, I want to add another checkpoint to respect my decision. I could go in here, but I would like to do as a preceding load just to make it easier to read. So let's do a preceding load here. So I want to do the Monte Carlo ID, comma. Let's skip the random, and this one here. I'm use a function called range max, and basically we're returning the max number. Is it either the MC sales or the mean sales? So then I get the mean sales here, which is in a variable. Then I do it. There's another feature to make sure I'm within the parameters that I like, and then I can call this the MC sales. If you want, you can even round it. So because the random number gives you a lot of decimals, so we can do a round here. So then I get numbers that are easier to read, and then I have at the end, and then we simply run it. There we go. I can click this one. You can do preview data if you want to take a look at the data, or I can simply go to the data model viewer and show you what we have. So if I get the Monte Carlo data here, then that's the random number, and that's the sales associated to it. All right. So let's go back there. Monte Carlo. There we go. And I call it sales. My bad. I want to call it MC sales. So that's basically how we do Monte Carlo simulation in Qlik. Now, how do we display it? It's basically the same way we display distributions, and we have another video that shows how we display graphically distributions. I will do it. So let's simply come to the UI. That's the UI you had it before. And then I will create another sheet. Let's duplicate this. I'll call this Monte Carlo. There we go. Let me edit this. And we can do the same for, we can copy and paste this and do the same for Monte Carlo simulation. So let me do this. My formula here will be, let's do a very simple one. Basically, some people don't like count distinct. Just for this demo, I'm not going to worry about it. So let's do a count Monte Carlo ID, so we know how many we have. And I don't like this formatting. I want to format as a number. So we have 5,000. And then I want to do this as well. But then I want to do this instead. The Monte Carlo ID. And I want to do the average MC sales, so we can see the difference. Very balanced because we made this normal distributed. Then super simple line chart. Let's do the distribution again. There's a line chart. Dimension, if you want to know details, watch our video about normal distribution. So my dimension is the measure for distribution, MC sales. And then my measure is the probability of that happening. So which will be, let's use the function north. And basically MC sales is my first parameter, the value. And then the mean will be basically the average total of that. And the standard deviation is, let's use the function stdev, standard deviation, is the total standard deviation for that. And I don't want this to be cumulative. If you want to play how cumulative works, you change this to 1. Pretty good. I can change this label. Let's call it P of X, probability of X. And then just look as our normal distribution. We simply go to appearance, X, and we make this a continuous scale. Pretty good. So doesn't that look, we can even do, actually, let's do this. Doesn't that look pretty similar to this? There we go. So you can then add the reference lines for 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviation, and then you see how that will apply each normal distribution. And then you can use that to simulate, okay, how rare it's a sales of $1,000, how rare is a sales of $5,000 based on those properties, okay? So that's what we have for today.